Welcome along to King Power Stadium for Leicester City's fifth round tie in the FA Cup as they face playoff-chasing Championship side Blackburn Rovers for a place in the quarter-finals of the competition that the Foxes, of course, won famously just a couple of seasons ago. Let's start by getting all of tonight's team news for this one, and Brendan Rodgers has decided to go with this 11. He's got Daniel Iverson in goal. It's a back four of Ricardo Pereira, who makes his first start of the season, so absolutely fantastic to see him back on the team sheet. Daniel Amati and Wout Faes, the two central defenders, with Luke Thomas at left back. It's Dewsbury Hall and Samari holding. And we think it's going to be Dennis Pratt in behind Jamie Vardy, with Harvey Barnes and Tete providing the width. On the Leicester bench, Alex Smithies, Kelechi Iheanacho, the FA Cup specialist, Harry Souttar, Victor Christensen, Patson Daka, Papi Mendy, Wilfred Ndidi, Timothy Castagna and Wanya Marcel Madavadua. From a Blackburn Rovers point of view, this is how the visitors, line up. They're without two of their most influential players, Bradley Dack and Ben Brereton Diaz, missing out. Ainsley Pears is in goal. It's a back four of Harry Pickering, Dominic Hyam, Carter and Costello at right back, Rankin Costello at right back. They've got Travis and Tyler Morton holding, with Dolan, Smodics, Hedges in behind Sam Gallagher, who gets the nod up front, as we said, ahead of the likes of Ben Brereton Diaz, who misses this game. Matt Elliott and Ewan Roberts join me, Dan Bates, in the studio for this game. We're about an hour now away from kick-off, which is 7:30. An unusual kick-off time, but here we are in the FA Cup fifth round. Welcome along. Good evening to you. How are you feeling ahead of this one?
In terms of the game itself, or me personally?
Bit of both.
I'm feeling okay.
Had a nice curry, didn't you, before?
Yeah, got fully loaded up, and the early kick-off nearly caught me short, actually, to get here on time. But no, it's a strange one, isn't it, really? Like a midweek cup fixture is normally, certainly not so long ago, was more assigned to a replay, wasn't it? But now, obviously, cramming the fixtures in after Saturday, it's a little bit of a mentality game, I think, for Leicester as much as anything. They'll be heartened by the fact that two main protagonists for Blackburn not available tonight. A couple of changes in Leicester's first 11, starting 11, but all changes of players coming in who, not long ago were considered, in the starting 11, or certainly
in the back four.
Yeah, exactly. Throughout, none of those players are backup players, are they? Stroke fledgling individuals. So Brendan can make the changes. Still having a strong team. It's up to them how they perform, as always. But get their heads right, get the focus right. I'm sure Ewan's about to probably back me up in a bit. There's an opportunity there for players to make a mark. And also, just sort of shelve that performance and sort of a little bit of negativity about the weekend against Arsenal, where they didn't do themselves any huge harm, but it wasn't a typical Leicester performance, was it? To get back on track, Leicester have been they've been encouraged recently. How they've been performing. Even against Man U in the first half, against Arsenal, it was a bit of an anticlimax, wasn't it? Need to pick up the reins tonight against Blackburn. Ideal opportunity if they get their heads focused.
Good evening to you, Ewan Roberts. You were with us, excuse me, in the studio last night. How are you this evening?
I'm not too bad, Dan. I'm not too bad. As you say, it's a bit of a strange kick-off time, 7:30 on a Tuesday night. I can't remember too many sort of fifth round or any round FA Cup games being played in midweek, apart from obviously the replays that you have. So, and there's something special about midweek games under the floodlights at the King Power. Let's hope this is another one, because the prize is a big one. The club have been in a quarter-final in recent years, and I saw Brendan Rodgers' comments earlier. It's another chance to get to a quarter-final. And then you just really never know, could it be Leicester's opportunity to get to another final? Hopefully, let's wait and see.
Yeah, hopefully we're well on the way to another cup final. Let's take a look at what we've got coming up here on Matchday Live over the course of the next hour or so. We're going to look back firstly at what happened on Saturday. Matt's already mentioned it. Hopefully we'll get a bit of a response to what happened on Saturday. Disappointing home defeat to, albeit the league leaders, Arsenal. We'll hear from Ricardo Pereira. He is starting this evening. We spoke to him at Seagrave this week, yesterday in fact, looking ahead to this game. Fantastic to see him back on the pitch. And of course we'll look at some classic FA Cup goals. No prizes for guessing that strike from Yuri Tielemans will be involved there. Maybe that curry is getting to me a little bit there, Matt. Clearly. We saw that Yuri Tielemans strike there. We'll obviously watch it a little bit later on, but that's the prize, that's the goal, that's what could happen if Leicester keep winning in this competition. Yeah,
it's not a million miles away either. It's a little bit early to be thinking of a Wembley return, but listen, the majority of these Leicester players know what's possible at this club. They've been involved in it, and what a feeling it must have been as well. And Tielemans more than anyone, but you can watch that goal as many times as you want, can't you? It's still highly enjoyable. What a moment. What a moment to use as inspiration as well. Brendan Rodgers surely doesn't need to say too much to his players to get them rallied and up for it. It's, like I say, it's a little bit of of character and of the mentality tonight. But listen, what an opportunity, really, at home against championship opposition, albeit a team that are going well in the top four at the championship, and but they're going to, a couple of their best players missing, etc. We've gone over that already, but I mean, you can't ask for much more, really, can you? And with the prize that's waiting, if you get through to the next round, as Ewan says, quarterfinals, you're right in the mix, aren't you? But one step at a time. Got to deal with tonight, because I've got a feeling the atmosphere is not going to be as lively as it may have been had things gone a different way on Saturday. Even Saturday was a little bit flat, in truth. I'm not exactly sure what the reason for that was. Maybe the performance itself, because they never really got out of the blocks, Leicester. But they need to get out of them tonight, just to create that little bit of a buzz and a spark, and then they can feed off that. Yeah,
one thing you can say, Ewan, certainly, is that obviously it's a championship side in Blackburn, but this could very well be a Premier League fixture next season. That's how good they've been this campaign. So it's by no means going to be easy tonight.
No, and I mean, if we're talking about the Premier League, and apart from the Big Five or the Big Six who have won it, Blackburn and Leicester are the two sides. Blackburn and Leicester have gate crashed your Liverpools, your Man Cities, your Manchester Uniteds, your Chelseas, your Arsenals. They've gate crashed their party. Blackburn did it many years ago with Sutton and Shearer and the likes. And obviously Leicester did it in 2016. So you're talking about two previous Premier League winners here. Blackburn have sort of fallen from grace to a certain degree, but under John Dahl Thomason, they're going in the right direction. They're doing it the right way, even though they're a championship side. I mean, they're not going to catch Sheffield United in second. It is going to be a playoff place at best. But they're a young group. Dan, as I spoke to you last night about them, they're energetic. There's a youthfulness about them. I think 7 of the starting 11 is 24 or younger. So they'll get about Leicester City tonight. That is for sure. But we were expecting some changes. I do like the look of that Leicester City side, I have to say. And I think on the night, they will have more than enough to take care of Blackburn.
Yeah, let's hope you're right, Ewan. Leicester coming up against high-flying Blackburn. At the weekend, it was high-flying Arsenal that came to King Power Stadium, of course, the Premier League leaders, and they went away with all 3 points.
Brendan Rodgers celebrates his 4-year anniversary by welcoming Premier League leaders Arsenal, who have the best away record in the division. The Foxes will have to be at their very best as they look to bounce back from defeat at Manchester United. He does curl it in high this time. Ward coming, gets a hand to it. Still inside the box though. Back to the edge of the area. Space found, and it's fired into the top corner by Leandro Trossard. Now, there's Ben White who's closest to Danny Ward, the goalkeeper. Is there a foul by anybody else? foul, no goal. It's back to 0-0. He's on the ball here, plays it inside, and Martinelli's in the box. He's going to curl one into the far corner, and 52 seconds into this second half, Arsenal do have the lead. Arsenal celebrate. Martinelli is down injured, but for now at least they are 1-0 up. Dewsbury Hall has found space and gone for goal, and very nearly found the net. That is Leicester's first shot after 71.5 minutes. But that is it. The full-time whistle goes here at King Power, and Arsenal have won by the slenderest of margins. Boy, did Leicester make them work for it. But Arsenal have the points, and Leicester, Matt Elliott, are beaten by a goal 52 seconds into the second half.
They were beating Matt Elliott, so you can now sum up again.
He knows I'm in the studio tonight, yeah. But, well, there wasn't much to report on, was there?
No.
The highlights or the lowlights showed that. But, yeah, it was that sort of game. I mean, I didn't think Arsenal were that exhilarating. They started off looking a step above, in all truth. Leicester sort of had to settle into the game. It looked ominous, didn't it? Arsenal were popping the ball around without actually making Danny Ward work, which actually was the case throughout the majority of the game. But they always had that sort of element of danger about them and threat, if necessary. And when it came, you thought that was going to be like the fatal blow that early in the second half. Leicester were restricted, weren't they, really? So, I thought Leicester just got preoccupied with trying to deal with Arsenal and forgot about what it is makes them tick, makes them a good side when they had possession. And they were loose and they were giving it away, and there was no real structure about Leicester's forward play, which is disappointing, really, with the players that we've got there. I know Maddison was out, as he is again tonight, but they're going to have to learn to cope without his abilities.
Yeah, they proved why they're top of the league, Ewan, didn't they, at the weekend, Arsenal? It was a very efficient performance from them, something that maybe you've not become accustomed to with an Arsenal side.
No, and I think under Arteta, especially this season, with the quality, especially going forward, the youngsters, the pace, the creativity, and they've won games with a certain style and a certain swagger. But in a season, Dan, you're going to have to grind some games out. You're going to have to dig in, roll your sleeves up when things aren't quite going your way, when you're not quite at your best, when maybe two or three lads are having a bit of an off day. You've got to dig in, and you've got to somehow find a way to win. We spoke about the blip that they had when they went 4 games without a win. They had a massive result the other week at Villa Park with those 2 late goals, and you just got the feeling that they've got over that hiccup that they had. But Leicester it was a disappointing day, Dan, let's be honest, to have no shots on target. That one effort from Dewsbury Hall, 71 minutes into the game, the first real effort on Ramsdale's goal. No corners as well, Dan. That's quite rare for the home team to not get one corner kick in 90 plus minutes. It wasn't the best day for Leicester. They've got a chance to make up for that tonight in a competition that's been kind to them in recent years.
Yep, there weren't too many positives on Saturday. One that you can draw from it was another substitute appearance for fullback Ricardo Pereira, and we spoke to him ahead of his first start this evening of the season, of course, after picking up that horrible injury against Sevilla in a friendly back in July. Ricardo, it's been a long road, of course, obviously. with your injury. We've spoken to you a number of times during your rehab. How do you feel now? You've had a couple of substitute appearances in the Premier League. You look like you've got a smile on your face.
Yeah, it's nice. Like I said, after a long time and after being on the sidelines for 6 months, it's nice to be back, to train, to be involved in games and just to be with the guys.
It's probably been even more frustrating because on the pitch maybe things haven't gone the way that we would have liked them to have gone. Has that made it even more, I don't know, frustrating and angry that you've not been able to be out there and help?
I would say different this time, because at the same time you think about it, but at the same time you can't do anything. So I try to focus on things that I could control and try not to think on things that wouldn't be possible. So it was a little bit different compared to the first one.
How did you find those substitute appearances? First against Tottenham and then of course against Arsenal.
No, it's special. Special the first one with the fans. Like the atmosphere was really nice. I was like touched with that moment, and it was nice, especially with the win, important win that we need.
There were 4 brilliant goals in that fantastic game against Tottenham, but perhaps the biggest roar from the crowd was when you came on. So that, again, as you said, must have been...
Yeah, it was. I was like somehow surprised because when it was the first one, I think it was still closed doors when I came back last time. So it was like the first time for me, so it was really nice.
Next up is the FA Cup against Blackburn. Hopefully there'll be some more minutes for you in that game. Are you looking forward to that? It's a big game really, a chance to get to the quarter-finals of that competition.
Yeah, because when you think about this competition, okay, if you win, you play at home, quarter-final, you are closer to get to the end stage. So yeah, exciting for the game.
And everyone here at Leicester knows what it takes to go all the way and to win that competition not that long ago, of course. So do you look back at that, what happened a few years ago, and think, yeah, we can repeat that and do exactly that again?
Yeah, of course. We did it before. We know how hard it is, and we know we have to go game after game, and every game counts. Every game it's like a final, because if you lose, you are out. So yeah, it's good to have that experience to make things easier.
Blackburn know themselves, obviously, although they're a championship side, they're doing very well in that division. It'll be a really tough test.
Yeah, for sure. They are used to win, so we have to be careful. They have good players. They will try to go through, because it's a big game for them too. But we have to be in our best, and we cannot give any chance to them and go after the game.
And because it's a cup game, I guess it's quite nice that it gives a distraction from the Premier League. Okay, the last couple of results haven't been great on the pitch against 2 very good sides, so it's a chance now to hopefully get back to winning ways.
Yeah, especially when you have 2 bad results, you want to play as soon as possible. And the game in 2 days, it's good for us to get back to wins and to get back on track.
Let's concentrate for the moment, Ewan, on that man, Ricardo Pereira. How good is it to see him back, to see him smiling, and it'll be fantastic to see him in the starting 11 this evening.
And I think when you look at the options that if everybody's fit, Dan, at right back, I mean, it's a proper what's the word? Riches of right backs, if that's the right way to put it. I mean, when you think Ricardo, James Justin, who's been incredibly unlucky with injuries, Timothy Castagne, who's probably played more games this season than I think Brendan would have liked him because of the lack of options at that right back position. I mean, it is great to have him back. It's great to see that massive smile that he's got, because we were talking about it last night, Dan, and he's had 2 of the worst injuries a professional footballer can have. You know, an ACL, which is 9 months, whichever way you look at it, and then to snap or tear your Achilles heel. And I've been on the pitch when a player's done it, and it's a horrible sound, and the rehabilitation and the time that you take to get over that. So I say it's incredible that his professionalism has allowed him to keep the shape that he's in. He looks in ridiculous shape, and it's great to have him back. And when you get those types of players with those types of characters back after such a long time. It gives everybody a boost. The staff, the players, the crowd. And, you know, I think before he had his ACL, Dan, he was absolutely right up there. You know, one of the best right backs, not just in the Premier League, but in Europe, the performances that he was putting in for Leicester.
Yeah, I mentioned it in the interview with him, Ewan, about the Spurs game. When he came back, obviously it was a great time for him to come on. I think it was either 3 or 4, or might have been 4-1 at that time. Obviously the mood was already high. He comes on, that just caps off a fantastic day. And it really, it did mean a lot to him to come back. He said in the interview that the last time he had, it was behind closed doors. He never got to experience the roar of the crowd as he came back. And it proves how much he's loved by the Leicester fans, and no surprise there either.
Absolutely not. He's an absolute top class performer. You know, we talk about creativity. He gives you that. He can score the odd goal as well. Great engine. He can defend in 1v1 situations. Had he been fit, I'm sure he would have gone to the World Cup with Portugal. And those 2 injuries, I mean, there's some players that wouldn't come back from those types of injuries. But I say that the treatment, the rehabilitation, he'd have been well looked after. He'd have been well looked after because with the Ricardo in your starting 11, no disrespect to anybody else, he's an absolutely magnificent player.
He's a top player, isn't he? Simple as that.
Yeah, he's a class operator, isn't he? I think Jerry loves him, doesn't he, as much as Ewan does. Thinks he's a world-class performer on his day, and certainly he did reach those levels at times, without doubt. It's just such a shame that the injuries have come when they have, and we're yet to see if he's going to recapture that sort of form. Fingers crossed that he does.
That's more of a mental thing than anything. Yeah.
Listen, I speak on an unknown basis, really, because I didn't have any severe injuries like that, but I've got a lot of respect for players that do, because it's as Ewan said, they're both nasty in their own right, and to come back, physically first and foremost, but then mentally, just to sort of release yourself, let yourself go, and fully express yourself, if that's the right word, in a physical sense as well, but just to have that naturalness about your game must take quite a while to recapture. So I think Brendan Rodgers, the ideal man, will be patient with him. Mm-hmm. Ricardo himself will be patient, even though he's obviously champing at the bit and just wants to get back on with his career. But I think in good time, hopefully we'll see him back to his best.
Let's hear from his manager then. Brendan Rodgers has been speaking ahead of this game with Blackburn, and he was asked about tonight's opponents.
Yeah, I think it'll be a really good football game. I like how they try to play. They like to bring the fullback in on the inside to try and create an overload. The wingers stretch the game, play really expansive and open up the field, and they play a very good technical game. So that's something that I look forward to. I enjoyed the analysis of watching them because I haven't seen them so much. But they play very well in the shape that they play, and you've seen that in the results. They're 4th in the Championship, and Championship is a really tough league. So they're right in the mix of the playoffs, and you can see why. They play well, and be a real good test for us.
From your personal standpoint, I wonder how big a competition this could be for the club season now, based on where you are in the Premier League.
Yeah, it's very big. Listen, no matter where we are, but I understand the question on it. It's even more so, I think, this year, the importance of it. But it's never been not important. I think all the cup games have been that, and we're playing against a good team. They're doing very well in the Championship, up in those playoff positions, and been used to winning this year. I like how they play, so it's going to be a really tough game for us. But we know as each stage of the competition you go through, each game gets more difficult. But this is a chance for us to get to the quarter-final again, and we really want to give everything to be able to do that.
What has been your message to the players with all of that in mind for this competition?
Well, it's exactly that. I think it's one where each game goes by provides the opportunity for you, and I think what we spoke about today was we have an opportunity playing at home in front of our own supporters and with a chance to get to the quarterfinals. So we've been on this journey before, and it led us to winning it. So we have that feeling, and we know what that feeling's like when you do win it. So, but in order to do that, you have to get there. So for us, it's a tough game, but it's a good game for us, and one especially coming back after the weekend that we want to take.
That feeling and that experience of winning a competition, let alone this one that you're actually playing in and around the squad, how important is that, knowing that the players know they have done this before, and they know when things are feeling in the right way, and they know when they're onto something good? How important can that be?
Yeah, I think once you've won titles and trophies, then it allows you to have a calmness leading in to games, and especially if some of the players haven't, then the other players, you just have that calmness, and you know what it takes to win. So that experience is very important. Otherwise, the emotions can be difficult. But we have enough players in the squads now that have got good experience of winning some titles, and that always helps.
Well, as we're hearing from Brendan Rodgers there, this team know what it takes, don't they, to win this competition. They've been here before. They've been in a 5th round tie. They played Manchester United here in the quarterfinals that season. So they know what it takes to win the competition, full stop. And that means winning these games, even if they're tough games against lower league opposition.
You say this team, I mean the majority of the players in the squad, have experienced the ultimate in this competition. So, rather than that sort of dampening your enthusiasm or your ambition, I think it adds to it really, because moments of triumph are there to savour and inspire you onto more. Like you get hungry for more. It whets your appetite. But listen, I think at the moment they do have that capability. They've shown that. It's a different time, a couple of years ago. I think things were on a different keel, shall we say, but I think it's a little bit early at the moment. You have that lurking in the back of your mind, maybe, and it's nice to have. I think use the quarterfinal as an incentive. Just those 2 words, quarterfinal, bring a bit of sort of excitement and anticipation of what might be, and we know what follows. But you've got to focus on the here and now. And I think, like I said about the atmosphere, the players might have to spark that off themselves tonight. And you would think, although their ambitions might be dampened by the team selection that Thomason's come up with, but as Blackburn players, regardless of what they're challenging for in the Championship, come to Leicester, in their eyes, they'll see it as a winnable fixture. It's not like they're coming to Arsenal, Man City, away, where they're likely to come unstuck. There's an opportunity here for them. So they'll be champing at the bit. They'll be raring to go. So Leicester have got to deal with the opposition here tonight, first and foremost, and almost banish any thoughts of what might be down the line. We've got a job to do.
Yeah, Blackburn themselves, Ewan, haven't lost in their last 9 games, which in itself is a very good recent run of form that they're on. So they'll be coming here, as Matt says, raring to go, wanting to prove a point.
Yeah, I mean, I said to you last night, Dan, that they'd lost half of their 18 away games in the Championship. But they will know as well that Leicester's home form hasn't been brilliant, and that is something that will give them hope that they can come to the King Power tonight and get a result and get to the quarter-final, because Leicester have lost half their home league games. They haven't scored in half their home league games, so it's not the fortress that we all hoped it would be at the start of the season. So even though Blackburn's away form hasn't been brilliant, and they are a young group, and I think that's why you've probably seen sort of inconsistencies in their performance. I mean, we spoke about the unbelievable run at the start of the season when they didn't draw a game in their opening 29 fixtures in League and Cup. So they tend to either lose or win, probably one more than they've lost, and hence their 4th position in the Championship. So yeah, they'll be coming here full of confidence, thinking that if Leicester aren't quite at it, then they can turn Leicester over, that's for sure.
Let's take a closer look then at tonight's visitors. Rich Sharp from the Lancashire Telegraph tells us what to expect from the Ewood side.
this time last year they were looking at a really good spot, automatic promotion contention, then just really hit a sticky bit of form and in the end didn't even make the playoffs. And after that, a few key personnel moved on. Tony Mowbray, after 5 years in charge, Jon Dahl Tomasson came in, a new look structure with the director of football, new players. So I think a lot of people did think it would be a season of transition. But yeah, the wins have just kept coming. I think you look at a lot of metrics regarding Rovers and they're not ranking particularly high in any of them, but where they have been really good is grinding out wins, and that's why they find themselves in the position that they do, which looks really healthy going into the final 12 games of the season. And one aspect they've never done well in recent seasons is the cup competitions, and they've reached the last 16 of the Carabao Cup and now similar in the FA Cup. So that's been a feel-good factor is the runs in both cup competitions so far. There's a bit of a feeling that it's a bit of a shame, that it's coming midweek, just after. I mean, this is their 9th game in the space of a month. They've got Sheffield United, who are second in the division, on Saturday lunchtime. We talk about the players that they've got missing there, the key personnel at the back as well. So I think there's a realism in that they'll be going up against a Premier League side with a much deeper squad than Rovers have. But equally, they beat West Ham with a side where they made 10 changes. So I think they'll be expecting the side to give it a real good go. Jon Dahl Tomasson's talked up the importance of the cup competitions.
Thanks to Rich Sharp there from the Lancashire Telegraph. Matt, I know you've done your diligent notes of Blackburn this evening and the run of form that they're on, but they're unbeaten in 9. Tells you everything you need to know. As Ewan said there, they very rarely draw games, although up until recently I think they've drawn 4 in a row at one point. But before then they've gone on this ridiculous one where they're either winning or losing. But now they've won their last 3. They're on a decent run, which sees them third in the Championship. They're there for a reason. Yeah, and they've been a decent outfit for a little while now as well, haven't they? I mean, was it last season as well? They were going. It was about this time last year that they then. Yeah, going great guns, weren't they? And then, okay, as was mentioned there, the lack of depth in the squad maybe comes to bite them at a certain stage in the season. But I think. Again, just to reiterate, I think Leicester have got their hands full tonight. They need to be on their guard because Blackburn going well, and they made a couple of changes themselves. They're on a little bit of a high. They're on a roll. There'll be players that are coming in thinking, right, I want to get involved in the mix. I'm not just here as an also-ran, as there are with Leicester players as well. But there's a big, I use the phrase quite regularly, cause to be fought for Blackburn tonight. What an incentive they've got. We're talking about Leicester's. What an incentive Blackburn have got. This is what Leicester have got to be wary of. Stamp their authority on the game early because there's a couple of changes. I think Brendan's wary of not making too many because he doesn't want to, upset any sort of rhythm that Leicester might have, even on the back of Saturday. But add to any sort of confusion or even the books up a little bit, and it's going to be a tough game. It's going to be a tough game. I don't see it being particularly free-flowing. I think it might be a little bit bitty, but Leicester just needs to sort of knuckle down and grind through the night, and hopefully moments of inspiration will come to the fore. But I'm expecting it to be really closely fought. Yeah, well, that's what I was going to ask about Brendan Rodgers and the fact that he's not made wholesale changes. There's still a lot of the players that you'd probably expect will be playing away at Southampton on Saturday. Yeah, a certain percentage of them certainly involved in the squad. I don't know what the situation with Maddison will be at the weekend. Great boost to see Ricardo back in the starting lineup, but I'm not expecting him to go and fly up and down constantly for 90 minutes and be that top level player that we know he can be straight away. It'd be interesting to see how him and Tete link up. Nice to see how they work together because certainly, potentially, like you've got a real attacking force there, haven't you? Them two working in tandem, and this might be the sort of game where Tete does come to the fore because he's had that initial buzz against Aston Villa, exceptional, and then not such an influence in the other games that he's featured in.
And it sometimes happens a little bit, but this sort of game, it might open up for him a little bit and he could show his credentials again.
Yeah, that's actually mouth-watering to think about, Ewan, isn't it? That right-hand side of Ricardo behind Tete.
Yeah, it is, pace, power, creativity. I mean, Tete, as Matty said then, he did great in his first game at Villa Park, but sort of his forms did. But I think that's understandable when you're a new player in a new club in a new country. Not sure how good his English is, but he's an absolute talent. And this, I don't think he's ever played in the FA Cup before, so this is his debut in the competition. And he knows that he's got someone behind him that if he doesn't get back and do his defensive duties all the time, which, let's be honest, he probably won't. He knows he's got a defender right back there who's more than capable of looking after. I think it's Tyrese Dolan who's a flying machine on that left-hand side for Blackburn, but nothing that Ricardo can't handle.
I believe we definitely do have Jerry Taggart on co-commentary for us this evening. I believe he's sat in, primed and ready to talk to us now. Jerry, is it a cold one at King Power Stadium tonight?
Yeah, I'm definitely here, Dan. The gloves are on, that's for sure. It is cold. It's not as cold as it has been, but yeah, it's a cold one, that's for sure. But it's dry, and I can see the pitch, I can see the players, so that's a bonus.
What are you expecting tonight?
I'm hopeful, Dan, that we'll see Leicester take the game to Blackburn. You may see them easing into the game. Blackburn come here as a bit of an unknown quantity, you have to say. Going really well in the Championship. Obviously losing two of their star players in forward positions, which would have probably have made this a bit more of a tantalising game. But Leicester have to show Blackburn the respect they deserve. At the end of the day, Blackburn aren't that many places below Leicester. If you're talking about the pyramid, the league pyramid, so they deserve respect from what they've achieved this season. They're a young side in the main, so you would like to think that Blackburn will go into this game with no fear. We've talked about it. Young players go and play without fear, and they'll probably be relishing this tie. So Leicester have to take control of it, use the experience that they have, and put this game to bed, hopefully, as soon as possible.
Well, that's what I just asked Matt a minute ago, and I'll ask you the same, Jerry, is that the fact that there are experienced players in the Leicester team, of course, there are still players that played on Saturday that probably will play Saturday as well. So Brendan Rodgers knows this won't be an easy game for him.
Yeah, I don't see it. He's made some changes. All right, I would say not wholesale change, but changes in vital areas of the pitch, which have been a bit of an issue for Leicester in recent games. So again, you're talking to a centre half here. So for me, is you keep it tight to say Diaz not playing, Dak not playing in that number 10 role. That's a bonus in my eyes. They've got big Sam Gallagher up there who'll put himself about. He scored a double at the weekend, so he'll cause problems for the two centre halves, especially in wide areas. They have an attacking fullback in Joe Rankin Costello, who by all accounts is having a really good season at the minute. So obviously when the ball is wide, crosses are coming in, both the centre halves have to be on point, as well as the long passes, the long through balls that was their undoing in the game against Arsenal on Saturday.
What are you expecting from the atmosphere? What's it like already, Jerry? Albeit I know we're still over 20 minutes to go.
Well, it's less, I would say, from what I can see, which is the three sides opposite, or to their end on the side opposite. I would say it's less than a quarter full. So I don't know how many they're expecting, fans-wise, tonight. So Leicester are going to have to go out and create the atmosphere. And you do that by getting on the front foot, taking control of the game, and playing the game in the right fashion. Just don't pass the ball for passing sake. Go and hurt the opposition, because that's what you're expected to do. So don't let the fans that have turned up tonight, don't let them down.
Thank you very much, Jerry. We'll hear from you again in about 10 minutes' time. You're on commentary duty alongside Niall McCorm this evening. Let's get a reminder of tonight's team news. Brendan Rodgers, as we've just been talking about there, has decided to make 6 changes to his team that lost to Arsenal at the weekend. Daniel Everson starts in goal. It's a back four of Luke Thomas, Wout Fast, Daniel Amati and Ricardo Pereira making his first starts of the season. Kieran Dewsbury-Hall and Bouba Samare in that holding midfield role, with Harvey Barnes, Dennis Pratt and Tete in behind Jamie Vardy, who captains the side this evening. Blackburn Rovers travel and look like this. They've got pairs in goal: Pickering, Hyam, Carter and Rankin Costello as the back four. Morton and Travis, the 2 holding players, same formation we think. Dolan, Smodics and Hedges in behind. Sam Gallagher, who, as Jerry says, got 2 at the weekend, is in fine form heading into this one against Leicester. Right, let's take a look back at some classic goals scored in Leicester colours. We promised you we'd show you that Yuri Tielemans strike at Wembley, so here it is.
Good Johnson is the famous winner in this yet. It's a lovely ball, onside, well a chance to freeze, he scored! It's Leicester 3, it's Tottenham 2, the flags stay down, and Leicester City are surely heading into the 4th round of the FA Cup. Antonio back to Paul Gallagher, and what a start that is! They couldn't have asked for a better one. Saul Bamba in his very first appearance for Sven-Göran Eriksson's Leicester City. This is Marshall. Marshall again via Beckford, and Marshall! Oh, how about that? His first Leicester goal is one he and his manager will not forget in a hurry.
Brighton, Simpson's made a great run for him. Here's Schlupp! Oh, and it's squirmed in! Right at the death, Leicester City have nicked it! Michel Vaughan with a howler!
Fuchs inside to Pratt on the halfway line. A run being made by Justin on the right hand side. It's a great ball into James Justin inside the box. Ball across. Great chance! And it's put in by Kelechi Iheanacho. It's taken just around 3 minutes here for the owner. And when this man gets chances, it normally means goals. And Kelechi Iheanacho putting that one into the far post there to give Leicester City the perfect start here at Griffin Park. Some invention, maybe from Justin here on the left-hand side. Skips past a couple. Justin gets in the strike. Oh, it's a stunner! What a goal from James Justin. I'm not sure he'll score a better goal than that in his whole career. I'm not sure Leicester will score a better goal than that this season. That is right out of the top drawer, right into the top corner.
Played his team into a bit of bother there, and then Perez has won that ball really well for Leicester. And here's Yuri Tielemans, 30 yards out, lines up a shot. Tielemans has scored! An absolute cracker in the FA Cup final. Yuri Tielemans sends the Leicester City fans bananas. That is one of the finest strikes you will see, and it has Leicester City on course for glory. Yuri Tielemans, what a goal!
Yeah, we'll never tire of watching that Tielemans cracker at Wembley. I'll also never tire of watching that Dennis Pratt pass away at Brentford.
Oh, that miss hit, you
for
mean?
the Iheanacho goal. That fantastic.
You're still adamant that he meant that, aren't
I think you're the only person that doesn't think he meant that.
I think you meant to find that player, but not in that manner. But it got there. Good pass. Yeah.
Right.
The goal tops it, though, didn't it?
We know, man. In
Beautiful.
10 years' time, we see that goal, you'll still moan about
it. In 10 years' time, we should still be talking about my effort against Chelsea in the 6th round. Good few years before, but
not good enough to make that montage.
Well, we lost the game, to be fair, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, but
right, Ewan, we've only got time for some quick predictions. You never moan, do you, like Matt does every week, which is nice to hear. So I'll start with you first. How do you see it going this evening?
I'm going to go for Leicester win. 5th round of the FA Cup. The prize is a big one. The lads know what's in front of them. They've got a great record in this competition. 11 wins in their last 13 games. 6 wins in their last 7 home FA Cup games. Blackburn be a tough nut to crack, I have to say, because they're a very, very good, competent side. But I think they've got the joint worst defensive record in the Championship, and with the attacking threat that Leicester have, even though there's a few changes, I think Leicester will have too much for them.
Yep. Score prediction finally from you, please.
It'll be tight. I think it'll be tighter than people expect. 2-1. Same old score line again.
Simple, yeah.
No, I think so. Genuinely, I think Leicester not nick it, but they'll win it, but not easily, not comfortably.
So they'll nick it then, yeah.
No, a bit more comfortable than a nick. Whatever
not
that is.
Not a stroll, not a nick, but in between, yeah. All right, okay. Thanks to Matt and to you, and we'll hear from you both again at half-time. But it's time now to pass you over to our commentary team this evening. After this short little break, here's Jerry Taggart and Niall McCann.
Because memories never fade, no matter how long. We'll still remember the moments of excitement and the impressions of Thailand. Amazing Thailand, now even more amazing.
Lamiat is the belief that perfection lies within the details, where the finest ingredients deserve the finest craftsmanship. In every pursuit of perfection, there is passion and perseverance, where attention to detail inspires a masterpiece that's balanced and in harmony. This is the Lamiat philosophy, brewed into every drop of Chang beer. This is the taste of Thai perfection. Chang beer. We brew friendship.
The FA Cup returns tonight for Leicester City, a competition with such fond memories. Yuri Tielemans' rocket in Wembley in 2021. Who will ever forget that when you're associated with this football club? But a slightly different feel tonight. The vibes are always slightly different when it comes to this competition, the most famous, the oldest cup competition in the world. And Blackburn Rovers, one of the oldest football clubs in English football, two historic teams set to do battle tonight for a place in the FA Cup quarter-finals. Joining myself, Niall McCann, in commentary tonight for LCFC Radio is former Fox Jerry Taggart, and I'm not sure if you feel the same way, Jerry. Maybe you did as a player or not, I'm not too sure, but the FA Cup always dredges up those special memories, slightly different to perhaps the usual game that you have.
Yeah. For me, it was a special memory, but not the one you think. But yeah, it's a great competition now, you know. And every player wants to play in it, and every player wants to win it. It's as simple as that. Some of these Leicester players are lucky enough to have played in that final and won it, and that is, you know, you'd have to ask them how that compared to whichever players were left in the squad that won the league. But you know, for the club to have won its first FA Cup less than 2 years ago, then I mean, the stuff of dreams, isn't it? And it's no different tonight. Obviously, Leicester find themselves in a slightly different position, in a league position. They've got Blackburn coming tonight. The fans aren't here in their droves, so there may be what you would call a different field going into this game, but that should not detract from the end game, which is trying to get as far as possible.
Speaking of cup competitions, obviously we saw the Carabao Cup final at the weekend, and I know it is a different competition, but the teams that you played in that were very successful in that particular cup, did reaching the later stages give you a hunger to do it again? You mentioned some of the players in the Leicester side that won the FA Cup in 2021.
Absolutely.
Surely that will drive them on to want to experience that feeling again.
Well, yeah, when you get beaten in the final the year before, then once you get to the latter stages, you're thinking, no, we're going to do it differently this year. Things are going to go a little bit different. And look, we were lucky enough that happened. But they say they've got to negotiate this time. We can't really start thinking about the latter stages of the FA Cup. All we can sort of focus on is Leicester have been given a great opportunity to get to the quarter-finals, and they're at home. They're against a lower league team, albeit a good lower league team. So they have to take advantage of the advantages that they've been given.
In the previous two rounds, it was League Two opposition, Jerry. Gillingham first, a 1-0 win, and then Walsall, a 1-0 win. This time it's at King Power Stadium, and it's a step up in opposition. A Championship side who really should be a Premier League club when you consider their history, and of course firmly in the playoffs, chasing a return to the top flight. Yeah, they're having a great season, Blackburn. And Blackburn have been there or thereabouts for the last 2 or 3 seasons under Tony Mowbray. He left, John Dole Thompson came in, and he's carried that form on, you know, and they find themselves right in the thick of the playoffs. I think it's 4th place they're in. And obviously their two talisman players are missing tonight, which I think is a real bonus for Leicester. So as I say, with that being the case, they have to try and take full advantage of that. Well, we'll shortly see the emergence of the two sides out of the tunnel here at King Power Stadium. And as Jerry mentions, just slowly waiting for the stands to fill up. A slightly unusual kick-off time of 7:30. You don't get too many night games when you're a Premier League club unless you're in Europe, but even though it's one of those trivial things, I guess Blackburn are more used to playing on a Tuesday night at 7:45.
Yeah, and not 7:30. It's quite rare that Leicester play on a Tuesday night, but it's even rare to play on a Tuesday night at 7:30. You're right, so it wouldn't disrupt, the preparation too much, to be honest. I don't know the reason behind it, but yeah, this is a lot of players actually prefer the night games. I know I did. I prefer playing at night than playing in the afternoon. But obviously, I just love playing under the lights at Fulton Street across the way there. It was just a special place, a special atmosphere. And obviously, with the European nights that have been here in recent times, you just can't beat it for me.
Yeah, there's a different buzz, I think, when you're under the lights. And tonight, Blackburn Rovers are the visitors in the 5th round of the FA Cup. We've spoken about Leicester winning this trophy in 2021. And of course, Brendan Rodgers, 4 years at the helm, celebrating that milestone this week. But also tonight, Jerry, his 200th game as Leicester City manager. Yeah, another milestone for Brendan. He's had to ride a few waves in that time, that is fair to say. But it's a real milestone for Brendan. There's not too many managers that hang around for 4 years in the modern game. So you have to doff your cap, no matter what anybody thinks about Brendan and his management style, his coaching style, the way the team plays. Obviously the owners, and they're the most important people in this. They have, stuck faith with Brendan, and we show those spouts of I was going to say glory, but spouts of, go and help me out now. Should we say flickers of success? Success. The more that the season's gone on, and so that's really important.
You know, and it's not Leicester aren't the only club that have done that as well. And I think, you know, give a manager a chance. Give him a chance. We signed a long-term contract, Brendan, not so long ago. Give him a chance.
But such is the way in modern football. 4 years is actually one of the longest-serving managers in the Premier League.
It's quite incredible. You know, a lot of people calling for his head before the World Cup. A lot of people calling for his head after the World Cup. But again, he showed he's turned it around. You know, he's still got some fantastic players here. You probably see it's a bit of a rebuilding job going on, you have to say. You know, it's not easy to replace the likes of Wes Morgan. Johnny Evans been out with a long-term injury or injuries, whatever that is. And so with a wealth of experience that those two players bring on their own, it's very, very difficult just to go out and replace them, considering, you know, the amount of money that would cost on its own.
Not long to go now until kick-off here at King Power Stadium. The rain has just started to come down here on Filbert Way. It's that really annoying sort of rain where it's not hammering down, but it's like a fine mist, and certainly setting the mood for tonight's FA Cup affair. Certainly not a full house in terms of the attendance here tonight, at least with 5 minutes to go until kick-off, but a fair few Blackburn Rovers fans have made the trip down from Lancashire as well, directly opposite us here in the commentary box at King Power Stadium. I think one thing that's worth mentioning this evening, Jerry, is that the FA Cup, as special as it is, it also gives teams a chance to maybe focus on something slightly different, but the incentive will be the same. Quarter-final place at stake here. Win tonight, and that path to Wembley begins to open up.
Yeah, I think this is a good distraction as far as Leicester are concerned. You know, with the last 2 games the way they've gone, I think this game has come at the right time. It really has. You know, Ricardo Pereira for the start, first full start since he's come back. And some players obviously getting a rest, but still quality on the bench if it's needed. So I think this is a good game for Leicester City to regain a bit of that momentum they had going into the last 2 games.
Well, we'll go through the team news for you very shortly when the teams do emerge from the tunnel. They are standing by here at King Power Stadium. Leicester will be wearing their traditional home colours with the blue shirts, whereas Blackburn in a rather unusual red strip with shirts, shorts and socks all red with a blue trim on those shirts. The goalkeeper tonight for Leicester is Daniel Everson, wearing all yellow, and soon the players will emerge from the tunnel at a drizzly King Power Stadium as the FA Cup 5th round gives us this clash between Championship opposition and Leicester City. Leicester City and Blackburn Rovers, 2 historic football clubs in the most historic cup competition in the game. After a pair of 4th-tier tests for the Foxes, the calibre of opposition cranks up a couple of notches. Blackburn, former Premier League champions, but times have changed since then. The top flight is now the focus for the visitors as they arrive in the Championship playoff picture. Winning the Premier League is something Leicester know all about, of course, but until 2021, the FA Cup had escaped City's grasp, and the road to Wembley is beginning to open up this season too, with a place in the quarter-finals at stake tonight. Could this evening be the next step on this club's remarkable journey? Well, Brendan Rodgers, of course, has been a huge part of that in recent times, celebrating 4 years at the helm of the Foxes this week, and tonight celebrating his 200th game in charge. Here's the side he's chosen to take on Blackburn Rovers tonight. There are 6 changes from the Premier League defeat to Arsenal, as has been the case in the FA Cup this season. Daniel Everson is given the nod in goal. Clean sheets in the 2 previous rounds against Walsall and Gillingham respectively for him. At the back is the first start of the season for Ricardo after that awful Achilles injury. Amate comes into the back line to join Fass, with Luke Thomas slotting in at left back. Soumare partners Dewsbury Hall in the middle, with Maddison again not involved after missing out against the Gunners. Yuri Tielemans is also not in the squad tonight after picking up that ankle knock against the Gunners. Dennis Pratt is given the nod in the 10 position, with Tete wide right. Harvey Barnes gets his 10th consecutive start on the other flank, with Jamie Vardy preferred up front to Kelechi Iheanacho, who has a phenomenal FA Cup record. On the bench for the Foxes tonight, Alex Smithies, Kelechi Iheanacho, Harry Souttar, Victor Christiansen, Patson Daka, Papi Mendy, Wilfred Ndidi, Timothy Castagna, and a place amongst the subs for development squad player Wanya Marcel Madavadua. As for Blackburn Rovers, 3-1 victors in the Championship at the weekend over Queen's Park Rangers. Jean Dahl Thomason's made 3 changes to that game, with Pickering, Morton and Hedges all coming in. Big blow for Blackburn, though, in the absence of Ben Brereton Diaz. The Chile international was their top scorer, and second top scorer Bradley Dack is also absent. Their most potent force up front will be Sam Gallagher, with 5 goals to his name for the season. Pairs in goal, Pickering, Hyam, Carter and Rankin Costello, Blackburn's back 4. Travis and Morton in the centre, with Hedges, Schmodix and Dolan in behind the aforementioned Gallagher. Well, tonight's referee is Tim Robinson, assisted by Lee Betts and Harry Leonard. But before we go any further and proceed with kick-off tonight, we're going to have a moment to remember one of the most iconic voices, not just in football commentary, but in sports broadcasting. A man who has affiliation with Leicester City. Tonight we remember John Motson. A minute's applause will begin and end on the referee's whistle. Well, a ripple of Super John Motson echoes around King Power Stadium. A touching tribute to a legendary voice, an iconic figure in football commentary. When you think of the FA Cup, you think of John Motson.
Absolutely. And nobody else. I think there was Barry Davis was another one I'd chuck out there, but them two in particular, and in particular John Motson, you know, iconic voices of football.
Well, the 2 sets of players are almost ready for kick-off here, as the referee, Tim Robinson, just checks all is in order. And the atmosphere just slowly starting to crackle here around King Power Stadium as we get underway in the 5th round of the FA Cup. Victory tonight